LeBron James Jr. may not be the prospect that LeBron James Sr. was, but there are a lot of upsides to his game. Now, finishing his freshman year at USC is, first of all, very impressive considering the circumstances. But he averaged 5 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Yikes. On paper, this is trash. But recently I talked about another prospect, AJ Johnson, who averaged similar things in the NBL overseas. And I think AJ's still a good player. I feel the exact same way about Bronny. Bronny was recently measured in at 6'1", 210 pounds with a 6'8" wingspan. Now to me, these measurements are super important. Nowadays, we've been blessed with so many tall point guards like LaMelo, Cade, or even like Luka and Shea, that we forget about the smaller guys that can still be effective if they find a role. I mean, some other guys like Mike Conley, Patrick Beverley, like Chris Paul. Let's talk about Chris Paul. Chris Paul's literally 6 foot flat. And even though he's one of the best point guards of all time, he's fallen off a little bit, but he's still playing late into his 30s. Being short isn't that bad if you can do the right things. I myself am a coach, and so when I look at who I want to play, I look at who can get us a win and not like who, I just smacked my mic. Or not because of who should play because of all these other external factors, right? I want to win. Bronny makes winning plays from what I've seen. Now, the weight. You might not think this is a big deal, but this allows us to differentiate different archetypes or classes within the position. I already explained this in the AJ Johnson video earlier this week, so I'll just play that here. At the recent Combine, Johnson was measured just over 6'4" with a 6'9" wingspan and weighed 167 pounds. I only bring up weight because, especially for guards, that gives insight to how the play style usually is. For instance, if we go off of height alone, we get either 6'4", 6'5" guards, but then we split those up into weight categories and we see lighter guys like Jalen Green are more shifty slashers, and heavier, bulkier guards like Anthony Edwards uses his frame to blow by people and dunk with force. What is true for Green is also true for AJ, as someone who primarily focuses on ball handling to create shots off the dribble. That perfectly leads me into his... I wanted to talk about his comparison right now because that'll lay a better foundation for us to talk about his strengths later. Getting right into it, my comparison for Bronny is Eric Bledsoe. The similarities are shocking. Remember what I said about short point guards finding a role and playing a long and meaningful career? Eric Bledsoe is example number 2. He's a defensive-minded point guard who can make great plays on a good team, and he's there when he matters most. This would be a great pickup for any team, and that's exactly what I think Bronny is. The interesting thing that I found out after I made this comparison is that they're built exactly the same. They're both 6'1", they're both over 200 pounds, and they both have a 6'8" wingspan. Hey man, if it works, it works. Now that we talk about his comparison, what are his individual... Bronny has always been a very relaxed and chill player. I watched him first when he came to Phoenix to play my high school team that I wasn't on because I wasn't good at basketball. But he ended up playing with Deron Holmes, my buddy, who's also in this draft class that I made another video on. Check it right there, in that corner. I need to get that. I think it's, yeah, right there, boom. But my best friend and I got to stand courtside and watch the game. And the film that you're watching is what we shot. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Sorry, besides the point. Bronny was a freshman at the time, but he made some plays that I cannot believe to this day. Like, he made this half-court lob to BJ Boston, who's also one of my favorite players right now. And I was shocked. I mean, Bronny really was the engine of this team. He played along Zaire Williams, Zaire Wade, BJ Boston, and Amari Bailey. All of those guys are currently NBA players. And as a freshman, he was level-headed enough to make the right plays consistently and to play great defense. And that stands true today. I've always been impressed with Bronny and his level-headedness and ability to just be cool, calm, and collected. And if he finds a team that can just wrap their arms around him and just nourish him, like, the sky's the limit for this guy. But for Bronny, what is my final... This is a little rough, but my first grade for his level of talent in comparison to the rest of a draft class is a D. And you might be thinking, Jake, this whole draft class trash, like, why is he the D? There's just different reasons for it, right? He's got a good vertical, he can shoot a little bit, but he's never like the top of his class in anything. And so that being the case, it's crazy that I can say that, but still think he's a good player at the same time, which he is. Like, he's a good player. We've talked about that already. And the kind of player that he is and that I think he should be. What it comes down to is that there's more guys that are more talented and more promising to more teams. Does that make sense? Like, there's more guys who can affect, like Zachary Ricochet. I talked about him yesterday. He can fit on any team. Bronny, I don't really know. Ricochet is an immediate plug and play. Boom, boom, put him on any team. Nuggets, Clippers, Lakers, Hornets. Put him on any team, he's gonna be good, right? But Bronny is not the same in that aspect. Another example is like, look at Wemby. Every team, if they have the #1 pick, would have picked him last year. That's just the truth of the matter, right? But look at Brennan Podziemski, who slid down, not super high talent level, but a team picked him up, wrapped their arms around him, and he's a solid key piece to this Warriors team who's interesting. They're like old and like young at the same time. I don't know what's going on with them, but that's literally Bronny. That's like the exact same scenario that I think. As for his grade in terms of his ability to get playing time immediately, I'm gonna give him a B. It's not bad, but there are definitely better players in that aspect, like Zachary Ricochet that I talked about. If you haven't seen that video, it's right here. Oh, I got it again. Boom, right there. Those are my grades. I think Bronny will be good. That's all I got for him. We out.